Y'all wonder if I know how to play guitar? Wonder no longer. It is funny though. I think this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna document this. Yeah, I just did document the playing that I just did. But, I think it's funny. Often in life, we tell people we're good at something. We tell people we are this kind of person. We tell people we know about this thing. And maybe it doesn't seem like we do, or we are, or whatever, on the outside, or at certain times because of certain reasons. I've been saying I'm really great at guitar since basically since I started playing guitar, which was over a couple years ago at this point. And there's things we talk about in our lives, ways we talk about ourselves just because we know things. I mean, you start something and you just know you're going to be great at it because you're supposed to be doing it. You can sometimes just like talk yourself up without even really knowing what you're doing yet, because you know that you will. You know you're kind of like meant to and made to. And so you know, I know music because I know tempo. And it's strange because I say so often, when I do make music, and then just under In the Image Clothing Company in general, too, not just In the Image Clothing Company music specifically, I say often unorthodox and untraditional. It's like a fishing hole. You just cast, you never know what you're going to get. Or, I throw some kind of lyricism like that often. And I talk about how it's off the tempo so much. I have Metronome Madness, which I do, where we're on episode 28 of Metronome Madness as of the last one I made. And I do a lot of lyricism. You could call it rap, you could call it wordplay, spoken word. And it's off tempo. That's why it's called Metronome Madness. It's like, it's crazy. It's all over the place, and it's not on a specific cadence. But where I really started with music, other than playing trumpet, which was really a cornet, same thing as a trumpet in a sense, same length of tubing, just wound a little bit tighter, kind of like a smaller looking trumpet in junior high. Well, really what it was 6th grade and 7th grade, so it was actually elementary school and junior high. That's really the only time I've ever actually played music, learned anything about how to read music or any kind of music theory from like a teacher or a class like that. Everything with guitar has been entirely self-taught. I've looked up some videos just on the internet to learn a little bit, mostly just a few chords, and I really still only know a couple handfuls of chords. And where a lot of this came from, and I've talked about this where I have documented under In the Image Clothing Company music, In the Image Clothing Company podcast, and just anywhere you can hear me. Evan Strong, right, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, speak about this. I kind of fell in love with rap music, and it spoke to me. And there was a lot of people who just had messages in their music, similar life upbringings that I could relate to, really similar to how I got brought up, really, in a lot of ways. And, I loved rap, and I loved the lyricism. I loved just being able to express yourself over a tempo. And it's like a blank canvas, it's like a journal entry. It's like you're just writing something. And that's how people treat journal entries, as they just sit down. I'm literally getting emotional. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but they'll sit down and yeah, this is big. I didn't know. I thought I was just gonna sit here right now and just kind of pick around on the guitar. I haven't played guitar at all in a couple weeks, other than whatever episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast I filmed in that time. I just normally play a little bit, a few seconds for an intro of something. But that's what it is you journal out your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings and what's going on, and that's what rap music really is. For those that treat it like that, you can come at it from any angle, but a lot of people had just such beautiful messages in their music, and it kind of felt like home to me, really. It gave me a place where I felt like I belonged. And I don't want that to be some like cliche message thing that people say this all the time, I mean, those that say it and mean it, they really mean it. And I'm one of those people where there's some rappers, that just really kind of changed my life in a lot of ways. It almost gave me like a best friend. I felt like I knew them because I knew their music. I knew their upbringing and their journey to where they are from what they said in their music. And it's like reading their journals, that they made public is basically what it is. And I know rap music gets people looking at it in all sorts of ways, and a lot of people think it's this and think it's that. It's amazing, those that really, speak from the heart and just pour out rhythm and poetry. I mean, it's just spoken word over a tempo. And so this is really where I came from with music is, yeah, I mean, rapping other rappers' songs, but then, around 17, 18 years old, I would just drive around in my little car. I had a little 1996 Geo Tracker, and I would just find instrumental beats and I would just play them through the speakers of the car from my little smartphone. And I would just try to keep going over the whole beat for the whole length of it. Just see if I could keep coming up with words and stay on the beat, try to have like the least amount of pauses that I could. And so it's just a lot of just learning how words work with each other, learning how to feel out tempos and learning, how to use words like percussion, really. A lot of beatboxing though as well in junior high, around the time playing that cornet or trumpet is really what it is. I did a lot of beatboxing, and then I started playing ukulele a little bit too throughout junior high and high school, just self-taught. I just knew very simple things. The keyboard on the fifth fret, if you don't play the two lowest bass strings, a guitar is a ukulele, essentially. So, anyway, I love the idea of being off tempo. Life is off tempo. We as human beings are imperfect and we're very off tempo, and all the things we try to do perfect, we can't. And music often becomes this thing that you try to get perfect. You'll do take after take after take when you're recording it or trying to perform for somebody. You'll try to practice it a million times, as many times as you need to. Really, is what I mean, to try to get it what you could say is perfect, and then try to perform it without any mistakes in it. But I love the idea of the phrases I say so often. Unorthodox and untraditional, off tempo and off topic, and topsy turvy, stop me and turn me around. Like I just say a bunch of things that just they explain what life really is. It's unpredictable and it's not smooth by any means, no matter how much we want it to be or try to make it be. So a lot of the stuff that I play is weird. Most all the stuff I play, at least up until today's date, it's the 24th of September 2025. It's freestyle because that's my background, besides the little bit of sheet music I learned how to play and playing with a band and in concert band and junior high, right out of elementary school. Yeah, sixth grade was elementary school. Other than that, it's just I freestyle things, and so I treat playing guitar a lot of the time like I treat freestyling lyricism, like what I do on Metronome Madness. So I love minor chords too. They just have such a just got such a like weirdness to them. That's how I explain or like feel minor chords a lot of the time. It's like I just love things that like you don't know where it's gonna end, you know, you don't know where it's going next. You don't know if it's in the right key or not, or if it was this tempo and it switched, or if they're just off and coming back or not coming back at all. I don't know. I love the unpredictability of how you can make music. It's life. I mean, the unpredictability of we don't actually know what's coming up next. We don't know the next step or the next turn. I've said many times before, you know, I kind of came up with this a couple years ago. I just said it one day. Sometimes we don't plan things, and other times we think we do. And that's really what life is, you know. It's like we plan and we plan and we plan, and no matter what, it's not gonna go exactly how we planned, probably, you know. So, and then other times things just fall into place so perfectly we couldn't have planned it better, but we never expected it to be like that. And so, anyway, I guess this is kind of just like an explanation on how I approach making music, mostly. And you know, I can learn things. I mean, I could read tablature and play it, and you know, sure. But there's something just so beautiful about kind of stumbling upon greatness, if you will. Because I don't even know when I'm freestyling stuff. I don't know, you know, until it happens. And that's really how life is. So yeah, I guess that's this video. Yeah, a lot of percussion. I've never had any kind of like percussion lessons, but just, you know, beatboxing for so many years. I used to just walk through the halls in school and beatbox. I used to start talking like I've got some kind of rapper's accent too when I start, you know, making music like that, you know, rap type music. Yeah. I used to use a pen on the desk, you know. I think my sister was the one that first taught me that or showed me it, but I don't have a pen right here, but you know, just tap a pen on the desk and you know, use your different parts of your hands and the pen to make percussion with, and just so much music and tempo always going in my head growing up. And then, you know, I started writing rap songs actually, and I would put them to other people's beats. Yeah, which I couldn't really do anything with unless I, you know, bought the rights to share the music publicly because the other people made the beat. But when I was around 18, 19, 20, give or take, yeah, 19, 20, 21, somewhere in there, years old, I wrote about 17 rap songs. I actually, you know, put them together, produced them, and a lot of them were actually really good. If I'm the one saying it, I mean, yeah, I had people listen to them that, you know, that I knew at the time, and they liked them. You know, I love music, and um, music can really show us how imperfect we, meaning as a collective, as human beings, really are. And it can show us also though how that can be so beautiful. Yeah, one thing I've noticed is a lot of times there's music that's just so predictable, and you'll just hear music and it all just sounds just like kind of boring. And there's a time and a place for that stuff, and a lot of what that's really great for that I've found is just freestyling over it, you know. But I just love how you can get weird with music. Um, and you can take something so simple and just make something that sounds phenomenal, actually. Yeah. You know, you take a simple D chord on a guitar. You just, you know, move a few fingers around, but stay within the same D chord shape, and so much can happen with that. See what I mean? I love it. Just I don't just it just it you just let it come out and it will. That's the way I approach music most of the time. That's how I have, at least, and that's what I love. Is just the freestyle. That's how I approach life, really, and that's really how we approach life when we're trying to do all we can to follow God's will. Just surrender to see what comes. You know, there's a lot of scriptures talking about that, where you know just like come what may, and you know just I mean, if you try so hard to control the outcome, like what I was saying about you just practice and practice and practice a specific thing you're trying to play, it can become robotic, and that's how we can become in our lives, you know. And so just kind of letting it be a little bit imperfect, and sometimes even intentionally, you know, that kind of keeps us on our toes, and then it brings a lot of interest and dynamic that wouldn't otherwise be there, and it's really interesting. Yeah, it becomes really interesting. So anyway, yeah, my name is Evan Strong. I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. This is In the Image Clothing Company music, but also just myself as a musician. I wanted to give a little explanation here. A lot of what I do under In the Image Clothing Company is show the sizing and setup of guitars to not alter our bodies. And yeah, you know, I mean, I just love it. So this is, yeah, this is me, man. I mean, I love this. I haven't made much music in quite a few months, and I kind of just go in phases, and I have throughout a lot of my life, you know, make quite a bit of music for a while, then stop, pretty much don't make anything for a while, and then, you know, it just kind of fluctuates. And so, yeah, there you go. I mean, we'll see. You know, I'll do stuff with music where I do. This gets me kind of flustered in a good way. I get a guitar in my hand, and I feel like I'm at home. Like I was saying with rap music, just meaning music in general, I start to play with music and I settle in. And then that's you know, a fourth of our company. In the Image Clothing Company, one fourth of it is In the Image Clothing Company music. Then there's the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, where we address the anatomy of the human body through clothing and keeping our bodies unaltered, allowing the body to work. In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, we do similar things, allowing the body to work, but really it's letting dogs stay natural, and a lot of things also on In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. And then In the Image Clothing Company podcast with discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. We've got a lot going on here, and there's a reason this is a whole fourth of our company. That's the point. And up until today's date, things have looked differently than they did than going forth. And I, you know, just meaning I really am good at music, and that's something that's just apparent when you hear me play, when I'm really in the zone with it. You know, I started this video out saying, at least when I first started, you know, recording this, um, you know, sometimes we say things about ourselves and we just know it, you know. I got my first guitar, and I said I was going to play guitar for the rest of my life, and I said I was going to be a professional guitarist, and I keep saying how great I am at guitar, and in moments, you know, to myself and to others, I know it doesn't seem like I could even really play. um, and you know, we'll get into a lot of what we do through music under In the Image Clothing Company music, but just having that approach where it's authentic when it's freestyled. It's authentic when it's you. It's authentic when you allow it to be able to be off the tempo a little bit, be able to be different than what other people would make. and kind of just let it come out, you know. And so that's really the way we need to approach not only playing music but making music, because otherwise it won't work well for us, you know. It won't work the best way that it could if we're trying to just make it be something rather than just kind of playing around. I talk about it like that, you know. I don't practice. I've never practiced guitar other than like 2 or 3 songs I tried to learn of somebody else's. I don't know. I just mess around. I just play. I just put my fingers on the fretboard, and I just plug through things. And so yeah. Um yeah, I've got a lot of different styles, a lot of different sides to me in life, and that comes through my music as well, you know. So definitely unique. Definitely very unique. So yeah, it's a gift. It's a gift. Music is, you know. I feel it. I don't think about it. It just kind of comes out and it comes through me. And that's the thing, you know, you kind of have to let it. Otherwise, it's not going to be smooth. It's not going to flow well. It's not going to be sounding natural. It'll sound forced if you're, you know, trying to force it to be something. So anyway, there you go. Yeah. Check us out, man. In the Image Clothing Company. Uh yeah, I mean, I write music too. I don't only freestyle things. And yeah, like it's actually on the 3rd fret, but um I might have had that on the 4th fret. Now that I just realized, that whole time that I was playing there, I honestly don't even know for sure as of right now. But driving all these horizons, I don't know if I'm the one driving. I don't know. I do write music, and I love it. I love music so much. Like I'm saying, I feel like I'm at home when I got a guitar in my hand. And sometimes yeah. Uh-huh. This is what happens to me. You know, I'll go some time without playing at all, and then I put a guitar in my hand, and all of a sudden it's like, man, where have I been, you know? It's funny. It's been the greatest battle of my life, guitar specifically. It's such a weird thing to say. But yeah, just trying to play guitar. You know, a lot of doing stuff with music has been such a battle for me. I mean, there's a lot of instruments that I can play, um, you know, to a degree, actually. But it's funny, you know. And I think that's the thing too, kind of just along the lines of my approach to music, my relationship with music is kind of like, it's kind of like, you know, a relationship where you love it so much it makes you mad, you know. I know a lot of people who play music or make music or sing, you know, they know that feeling. Yeah, so yeah. Anyway, beautiful stuff. I don't want to set it down. I go from not playing and being so content with that being the case to just, you know, I start playing, I'm like, man, yeah, you know, I could just sit for hours and play. But then in all seriousness, I could, you know, we talk about never having to massage out the hands or the forearms or stretch or warm up or do anything to the body to get it to work. It's only a mechanical machine. You can only allow it to work. And so we just have to allow it to work in all that we do. And that's one of the big things we do here on In the Image Clothing Company Music, and that's one of our approaches to music. You know, talking about just the way that I approach music. It's you know, not altering the body. You can't, otherwise you're not gonna ever be able to have the slightest bit of a good time making music. It'll just make you so mad, is what it will make. If it's damaging your body's only workings, you know, while you try to play. So we show a lot of that here on In the Image Clothing Company Music. So thank you. Yeah, it's the 24th of September 2025. Stick around. Music under me, Evan Strong. You know, yeah, I'm in it for the long haul. You know, I'm in it for life. In the Image Clothing Company in general, but also just guitar, making music in whatever way I do. A lot of, you know, rap type music as well. And, you know, rap isn't what a lot of people think it is in some places and in some cases, and from some people, yeah, it's a little bit too rowdy, you know, if I'm saying it, but sometimes it can be so beautiful. And yeah, a lot of times we judge things too quick. You know, we judge somebody's ability to play music because it doesn't seem or sound like what we think it should, or we judge a genre because we've, you know, put an image on what we think it is, or a belief around it. Yeah, you know, these things happen to us, and then we limit ourselves from being able to experience things as they are. You know, that's just kind of how life is, in all the ways that is how life is. Actually, yeah. So before you judge a book by a cover, don't, you know, in all ways. Before you judge an instrument by how it feels to play, make sure it's set up correct to allow your body to work. You know, there's a lot that we do here under In the Image Clothing Company Music, and my approach to music is very authentic. Really is the word to just use to sum it up, and that's how it needs to be for everybody, for it to be authentic music. Otherwise, it just doesn't sound natural. You know, you sound like you're trying to sound like somebody else. You can't, you know, you're only you. So thank you.